Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. And some breaking news. Nche has been ruled out of the Rugby Championship. Absolutely heartbreaking for a proper player who has worked so hard to not only get himself back into the setup, but make himself a mainstay in that box side. He was absolutely brilliant for the box for the last few years and was, a nailed-down player to probably start at the World Cup later this year. And all of a sudden, his World Cup chances have kind of been thrown into doubt with this injury to his pectoral muscle, ruling him out of the Rugby Championship. And there has been an uncapped prop that has been added to the squad and will be actually flying over to New Zealand with the rest of the players this evening. So it's going to be an interesting sort of few weeks to see exactly what happens and what the diagnosis is going to be for Nche. Before we look at exactly what his injury is, who's been called up, what the situation, what the changes are to the starting lineup, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Right, so yesterday we knew that we heard from Rusty Rasmus that Nche had picked up a bit of an injury and that he was going for scans yesterday. Now, it has been confirmed that injury is more serious than expected, and he has been ruled out of action for several weeks, which takes him out of contention for the Rugby Championship. Now, in terms of a Rugby World Cup deadline, our first match for the Rugby World Cup is, I think, on Saturday the 5th of, Saturday the 9th of September, or I think it actually could be Sunday the 10th, against Scotland. So now we're looking at about just over 2 months until the the Rugby World Cup starts. Our final preparation game, if memory serves me correctly, is, I think, on Friday the 18th of August. I think that's the one against the All Blacks. It could be slightly wrong on the dates there, but yeah, either way. So the last opportunity that we have before that sort of first game is about 2 weeks before the World Cup. And so if he's going to be included in the Rugby World Cup, he's going to need to be available by about mid-August so that he can play at least a game going into the World Cup. Otherwise it gets quite dicey. Now, the nice thing about Nche is he's played a hell of a lot of rugby in the last sort of 12 months, which has probably contributed towards the injury, but in many ways it's a good thing because, you think in terms of getting him back up to speed, he would pretty much be there already. He's not a player that's going to need a lot of game time to sort of get back into the swing of things because he has played so much rugby. But it's very, very worrying because, we always talk about our incredible depth at props. And ironically, we had a massive shortfall of tight heads a few years ago. All of a sudden, we're looking a little bit thin on loose heads with two swing props, Nche Nyakane, who has not played a lot of rugby recently, and Thomas Toy has played majority of rugby at tight head. So that is the situation with Nche. As a result, Steven Kitshoff has come into the matchday 23 for this weekend. He will start on Saturday. So he will start, and Thomas Toy will still be the bench option. And Kitshoff will then fly over the weekend for next weekend. Now, Steven Kitshoff, for me, probably plays this weekend, next weekend. After that, Rattenback and Cottonwool don't play him again until at least maybe one more game before the World Cup. Because if we lose Steven Kitshoff, we've now suddenly lost both our loose heads. And that would be absolutely massive. Our scrum is such an important part of our game. If we were to lose both loose head, we're going to be in very big trouble. In terms of cover, former junior Springbok and currently Vodacom Bulls prop, Gerard Steenekamp has been drafted into the squad. He had his first training with them on Wednesday morning, and he will travel to New Zealand on Wednesday night, and he will train with the players who've already departed on Tuesday. Now, that's quite an intelligent thing in terms of him going overseas because, chances are he probably won't play next weekend. I don't think it's the plan to play him next weekend, but at the end of the day, coming in on Wednesday, it means he would literally have today and Friday to get to grips with the Springbok structures. And I mean, that's just ludicrous, to try and have 2 training sessions and to try and get into a system which we know takes a while to get used to. So as a result, they've sort of said, no, we're going to play Steven Kitshoff here, and we're going to send Gerard Steenekamp over to New Zealand, where you'll have the benefit of having 4 training sessions next weekend to kind of get to grips. If we need him to play, if he does play any minutes, I expect him to be against Argentina in that sort of final weekend. It's an interesting decision, though, to call up Gerard Steenekamp. He's 26 years old. But he's not been involved before. We've had Nche, who made his debut last year and was very much touted as a future, stalwart in the box squad. And I mean, he's so young when he got that call up. I think a lot of people are expecting a lot of big things from Nche. So it's interesting that they've gone with Gerard Steenekamp over him. And again, the fact that he's not involved this weekend, it's not just a case of, well, he's based in Pretoria. He can, be at a training session today. He can be a training session on Friday. He can potentially play on Saturday. The fact he's going overseas tonight means that they could have called up into Tuchel because they could have flown him up from Durban today, and he could have been ready to go, to New Zealand tonight. All these players have to have their passports up to date and ready to go and stuff like that. So, he would have been ready to do that. So it's an interesting decision. In terms of speaking on the injury, Jacques Nielbas says it is never ideal to lose a player to injury days before an important test match, but unfortunately it's part of the game. We are particularly sad for Ox because he's been working very hard in the last few months and making a great contribution on and off the field. We wish him a speedy recovery. Nielbas says, on the upside, we have players like Steven and Nche to fall back on. With both players having been with us in Pretoria for the last 3.5 weeks, it's an easy switch for the match. We have always emphasized the importance of being adaptable as a team, and that will be particularly important this season with the Castle Lager Rugby Championship, World Cup warm games, and the Global Showpiece itself coming up. We are fortunate to have such depth at our disposal. We've been tracking about 50 and 60 players in the last few seasons with an eye on the World Cup, so we know what talent we have at our disposal. This is also to be a fantastic opportunity for Gerard to experience our systems and to be in the national setup. He's been impressive for the Bulls this season, and he's a former junior Springbok, so we're excited to see what he has to offer at training. Also, to me, quite interesting the fact that Trevor Nukani is still not coming to the 23. You'd almost sort of thought, well, why not start Thomas Toy, bring Trevor off the bench, have Stephen Kitso available if you need to. But, given the fact that he's become such an important player, almost why risk him? So let me know if you think it's a bit of a risk playing Stephen Kitso this weekend or what you think down in the comments below. Please do smash like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven. I'll chat to you soon.